Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined as always by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. How you doing, Maddie?
Much better than I was on Thursday when we usually record, that's for sure.
I'm glad.
My goodness, Dawn, we have been through it in my house lately with kids and then me getting sick, but we are past it now. I hope. I'm past it.
Good. Well, I'm sorry you were sick. For those watching, listening, whatever you're doing. If you're listening on the podcast, sorry, we're a day late. If you're watching live, sorry, we're 2 days late. But yeah, we've had a lot going on with illness and other things. So I am really glad you're feeling better. You look healthy. Did you have a nice day, or did you guys just kind of like lounge around and recover?
Saturday's usually pretty much a pretty chill day. I usually take the littler kid to ballet lessons in the morning. Aww. This was the last one before like the break, because they have the same schedule as universities tend to, since it's at UC, and like finals week was this last week. So there was like a little performance at the end, which was really cute. And that was nice. But then also I got on like a jag about getting a new coffee maker, because our coffee maker, something's wrong with it.
Okay.
And so I did like an hour of like research this morning, and then I was like, where can I find this one? And I went out to the store and I got it because I was all like obsessed about like getting the new coffee machine. Yeah. And now Kara's like, and my wife is like, you shouldn't say her name. This should be your Christmas present. I should wrap it up and you should open it. I was like, I want the new coffee maker now. So we'll see. But I'm very excited to have a new coffee maker. I'm a person who drinks a lot of coffee, so I'm very excited about it. How you doing, Dawn? How was your day?
Coffee is good. I don't drink as much coffee as I used to. Pretty good. Visited a friend today. I'm just exhausted. I've had a couple of crazy weeks. In my personal life, I'm a little just tired and wanting to recover. I'm excited because we're supposed to have rain tomorrow, and if you know where I live, it doesn't hardly ever rain, and a lot of times it'll say it's going to rain. It says it's going to rain like every 3 months, once in a while. But it usually doesn't. And it's like, I sit there and I wait. But they say it's really honestly going to rain tomorrow. So that's my highlight of tomorrow and the weekend. And yeah, just visited a friend today, lost her husband. So I've been kind of sad about that. Fortunately, she was talking with somebody else. I tried not to like fall apart while I was there, because she was holding it together. So that's always kind of challenging.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but it was good. It was good to be around friends.
Dawn, I bet you're a good friend for people in that kind of situation, because I know that you've always been like, when I've been sick or like going through something, you're always there for me. So I bet they were happy to have you there.
Thank you. Yeah. She had friends, and she's there originally from Boston, but have been out here forever. I think 40, 50 years, more than me even. And so she had family come in right away from his family, and her daughter and his kids. It was like a second marriage for them, but they were married like almost 50 years. So so as soon as like the minute her family left, she's like, I miss you. And so I went over right away. I told her I'd go as soon as they left. Yeah. And I'm just kind of looking out for her. She's in her 80s. And I was like helping her with her phone. And a couple weeks ago, I was over there helping her with her tablet and those kinds of things. And then I was looking around, and like, I want to maybe set up a security system maybe over there, because she's alone now. And we talked about she wants to get a cat. So I'm on her cat committee and all that. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah. She's a good person, just a darling. And it's really sad, but it's really good to be able to be there for her. And Jamie and I were texting all day. Those friends of the show who know Jamie Cheesebutt, because she's a Packers fan. She got her first apartment, and so I've been giving her a lot of design advice. And I noticed she had texted me really late last night. I think I fell asleep. I woke up at like 2 a.m. with this terrible headache. And I was like, oh, I think I'll look at my texts. And I had some texts from Jamie. So I'm giving her all we're texting at 2, 3 a.m. I'm like, no, go with the gray, not the black. This is why.
Been seeing Jamie tweeting about that lately. I'm so excited for her.
So happy for her. And I hope it's just everything. I mean, the apartment looks really cute. I just hope, everything works out super smoothly for her. I think it will.
Mm-hmm.
I think it won't. So I know you've got a lot of superlatives for us today.
My goodness, I sure do. Real quickly, I just want to acknowledge we have a comment here coming from David, who thanks for joining us tonight, David. Mentions that the Ninja makes a great coffee maker. I will say that was one of the highly ranked ones that I read about. Going with an OXO 8 cup that was recommended by like every website, Dawn. It was crazy. It was the now that we're getting endorsements, of course, but we should, right?
Yeah, we should.
The OXO 8 cup.
Okay.
Here we go. It's endorsed by Wirecutter, The Strategist, Cooks Illustrated. It was an Amazon Select pick, and like 2 other websites. Oh, on Consumer Reports and someone else. But anyhow, yeah, no, David, I appreciate the tip. I'll let you all know how the OXO 8 cup works out for me. So, yeah, Dawn, I've got like a ton of superlatives tonight. So, do you have some, right?
I have 3. I believe it or not, I have 3, but they're pretty brief. So
okay, well,
I know you have like 6, and they're in pairs. So why don't you start with your first 2, and then I'll try one of mine.
Exactly, perfect.
And welcome,
I love it,
David. Hi.
All right, so my first one here is going to be best surprises. So as you mentioned, Dawn, tonight, all of my superlatives are going to be little pairs of superlatives. So kind of like sneaking 6 in my usual 3 spots for superlatives, because it was a bountiful week, which was especially delightful since it's a bye week for the Packers. I thought, the content won't be as good, but I think that might be the case that in the bye weeks, people kind of unspool some of the stuff that they have just kind of been sitting on, waiting to put out there that won't be kind of lost in the noise of the typical coverage of the team. Although my first two best surprises were actually things that came out this past Sunday on the last game day when they were playing against the Bears. And so these are both related to that game. The first one was Tailgate with Kate. Kate put out a new episode of her show. It was called Fields of Nightmares. So, of course, that's a take on Justin Fields there. And she had Buff Llama, also known as J Dizzy D, who is a Bears fan who hangs out a lot on Packers Twitter. A real decent guy. Is a good guy to interact with. Just one of those kind of like fun Bears fans. He'll talk some stuff sometimes. He'll get his stuff in where he can, but he's a good guy, and it's fun to hear him on Kate's show talking about like where the Bears are at and just kind of, his feelings about the game coming up and stuff like that. So didn't expect that coming out the morning of the Bears game. And that was a really fun, way to hear the perspective of somebody on the other side of that game. I always love hearing from like fans from other fan bases and comparing what our experiences are like. And, the Bears have had a rough time for a couple decades for the most part with, occasional like kind of bright spots here and there, but they've had a rough time. So hearing an actual Bears fan talking about it, I thought it was really fascinating, especially one who's as good a dude as Jay is. So that was a lot of fun. Did you hear that?
I didn't. I saw you retweet it, or I saw her tweet it. I can't remember, but I have been out of the pocket for actually a couple of weeks. If you get a chance to check
it out, definitely still worth it.
Will do. I'm sure it's timeless.
The other one. Second. Hey, I'm recording. Okay, so you can't be in the frame. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah. Got my kid stealing my hat. So the other one I had from last week was that was a surprise on that same day was the Packernet podcast on Sunday. I was happily surprised to see that it was Jimmy Christensen and Aaron Alice doing the show together. I think that might have been the first time Aaron's ever been on Packernet, I think. So didn't expect to see that. And they did a great job, of course, breaking down the sort of last pregame show. I'm recording right now, sweetie. You gotta stop talking. I'm serious. No, you gotta stop talking now.
I shouldn't be waving and encouraging. I'm terrible.
So, it was Jimmy and Aaron breaking down the sort of pregame and did a great job, of course, because they're both very smart people with good takes. And so I was able to listen to that on the way to go watch the game, which I actually did at the #1 Packers bar in America, as per the Lombardi's bar competition for that last year.
Yes.
And so it's fun to go there, and actually got to see the game with Dan Kotnick, who is from Lombardi's bar and other stuff. And so I got to sit with Dan and meet his wife, and I've met his dad before, but he was there, and of course his little baby boy. So that was a really fun time. So
that is so cool. Now, what brought Dan down to Cleveland or to
to Cincinnati, whatever C city it is that I live in Ohio? I know. Well, so the guys from Lombardi's bar were all supposed to come down for the game because they had told the bar folks, the local Packers fan group, that they're going to come down for the Bears game. But then something came up with Todd and Jimmy. I don't know what, but Dan still had plans, and he has family nearby, so he still carried through.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Oh, how fun. I forgot all about that. I knew they were coming back, but I forgot it was for the Bears game.
Yep.
And you didn't tell me. So then when I saw it on Twitter, I was like, I want to be there. Well, since that little pair related to last week's game, I'm going to put my last superlative first.
All right.
So it's oldest rivalry in the NFL. And this was from an article by Joe Walters for Gridiron Heroics. And this was back in September. And it was kind of cool. I don't think I mentioned this. I don't think I'm recycling this. I think it was on my list for last week. So the title of the article is "Former Packers Are Key for the Bears to Make History." So this was back before the first Packers-Bear game this season. Okay. So this article talks about the former Packers that would be helping the Bears make history.
Okay.
But as we know, on Sunday, the Packers made history.
And it was so good.
But it's okay. Yeah. So for those who don't know it, haven't heard it, best record is also my superlative, and that is most wins in the regular season play in NFL history, and that goes to the Green Bay Packers. And it's been kind of seesawing back and forth between the teams, but the Packers are on top now. Again, it's the oldest rivalry. It's just kind of fun. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's kind of fun for now. So this article just mentioned a little bit about Luke Getsy, EQ, or Equanimous St. Brown, and Lucas Patrick. So Luke Getsy, I forgot, was actually a former quarterback for the 49ers.
I didn't know that.
I know, I didn't either until I read this article. That's why articles are good. So Getsy was a well sought after during the offseason, as we know, last year, even as head coach for some teams, and that's because of his extensive offensive background and working around a Packers offense and a quarterback that are legendary. He went on to say, granted, Paris Hilton could probably look as good as an offensive play caller if she had Rodgers as quarterback. But honestly, where better to get a play caller from than Green Bay? So not just a play caller either. He mentioned his background in intangibles to Fields and the Bears offense. And of course, I guess somewhere in this article he mentioned, or maybe in my research, that he was previously a quarterback. So I thought that was a lot of coaches have quarterback experience, don't they?
I think that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my first one. Best record or oldest rivalry, a little bit of both. So yay, Packers, for taking over that. For winning on Sunday. Yay. That was a much needed win, a much needed injection of positivity in our veins to hold us through the bye week.
And a really exhilarating one to see, Christian Watson get another touchdown out there. It was 2, wasn't it? What was it? I forget now.
Yeah.
It was a whole week ago.
I know.
I just love him so much, Don. I mean, I feel like all the Packers fans are taken with him for good reason.
Yeah.
And I'll take this to my grave. I'll tell my grandkids, but being there at the Cowboys game to see him get his first 3 right off the bat there to start this run he's got, that was electric. So I'm just in love with that guy right now.
Yeah, but Packers Glamour here would like him to stop flying and doing flips in the end zone because we don't need him injuries. Please settle down. I don't need him hurt. in the end zone like that with his celebration.
Yeah. I watched that the end run he had, that jet sweep that he had, that where he does like the jump into the end zone, that flip, and like I watched that highlight, I don't know, a bajillion times this week, and every time I'm like, how is he gonna land? Okay, he looks okay. Looks dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Things like that. I used to do things like that not that long ago either. But yeah, he's probably going to be fine. But I just you know what? We're still on the bubble here for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So
it could happen. It actually could, which is weird, but it takes a lot of things going our way.
Yes. All right. So what else do you have?
Yeah, I was just saying real fast too. Isn't it amazing that like taking the most franchise wins like from the Bears, playing the Bears
at the Bears?
It's poetry.
Oh no, wait, that was at home. Was that at home or was that at?
No, it was a Soldier Field. This is Soldier
Field.
Field.
It was at the Bears.
Yeah, to go into their house and take the record. Oh,
stunning. I know poetry. It really was quite nice. Sorry, Bears fans, we love you.
Oh, we do, but suck it. So, just kidding, kind of. So, all right. So the bye week, right? One of the things we've been waiting for is to hear the general manager, Brian Gutekunst, talk to the media, take some questions, kind of hear his thoughts on some stuff. And, as to be expected, it was a lot of like, GM speak, a lot of like, well, that's not really getting to what we really want to know. Are you going to keep Aaron Rodgers next year? Do you want to have Jordan Love out there for the rest of the season? Like, we want to know exactly what's going on. And of course, he's not going to tell us, not in that forum. Not really ever, not really. Mm-hmm. But after a press conference, after sitting through and watching that, I'm like, I need some breakdown of this. I need to know what some smart people are saying and thinking about this. So I have two extremes that both actually did a lot to help me kind of process it. And by extremes, I mean the two people I went to listen to their podcasts first were Ryan Schlip on the Packernet podcast and John Meerdink on Blue 58. And so the extremes, of course, are that Ryan Schlip would he played like a snippet and commented on it, kind of like, expounded and kind of, I don't want to say ranted. He wasn't ranting there. He does tend to rant. It's not a bad thing. It's wonderful, Ryan. I love it.
Right.
But would kind of discuss that chunk and then play the next bit versus John Meerdink, who of course has very concise, pre-planned, probably scripted things he's going to say about it. They're all very brilliant little, condensed gems of information and knowledge. So to hear somebody really dig into it, for somebody to give me the condensed, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of concentrated thoughts. Yeah. Two really good approaches to just digesting it and thinking through it. So both of those guys did a lot this week to help me sort of understand, or at least come to some sort of conclusions about what it was Brian Gutekunst was saying without actually saying, because he hardly said anything that you can really grab onto. So those are both excellent. I don't know if you caught those at all, but man, those two great football minds, hearing them talk about this stuff, it's very helpful for sure.
I only caught what Brian Gutekunst said in one sentence of what he said, and that was that Jordan Love was going to be a good quarterback or something like. I mean, it was very generic, but it was enough for me because I agreed.
Yeah, we seem to be good already. We know that, Brian. We know that.
I like it. So those are the two to go to, and we have time because it's bye week, so we have time to go to Packernet and to Blue 58 and review those, and I will. I promise.
Recommend it.
I will. Okay, thank you. Okay, so my next one's pretty quick. Best revenge game in the NFL. Thursday Night Football. Congratulations, Baker Mayfield.
That was something.
That was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I was already rooting for him the whole night because good grief. I really am rooting for Baker Mayfield. Whatever he does, wherever he ends up. That whole thing about flying him to LA at the last minute I just was so, and that's a team that's near me, so it means a lot to a lot of people that I care about. So, it was really fun. And it was just, isn't it just really fun to see someone succeed who's been through so much, especially somebody who, in my opinion, didn't deserve the treatment he got, in Cleveland. And then, I don't know what happened in North Carolina. If they just, I don't know. I thought he was doing okay over there, but I wasn't really keeping track of what goes. I don't keep track of the Panthers at all of what they do. Hardly. Sorry, no offense. But
Who
I just
does? There's
I
Panthers
know.
fans, I guess, but like
do they even have a football team? Yeah, I mean, I was only watching a little bit because Baker Mayfield, and I am for that guy no matter where he goes at this point because of the way he was treated by the, especially for the reasons that the Browns did it. The whole thing is still just mind-boggling, and also looking forward to the Bengals trashing the Browns this weekend.
Me too. I'm excited about that game.
I bet you are. So best revenge game. That was beautiful. Baker Mayfield, from this Packer fan. We love you. And now you're in the Rams, and I might see some of him playing here. So that'll be fun.
They're playing the Packers a little over a week from now.
Oh, I know. They're going to Lambeau, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's Lambeau.
Yeah. Hey, okay. So what else do you have?
Real fast, I want to acknowledge a comment that Emma had in the chat here. First, yay, Baker. Agreed. Just happy to, so exciting to see that. And then also Emma had said, what else did she say here? She said, agreed. The Browns did him dirty. The Panthers are a dumpster fire right now. Oh, that is true, Emma.
It doesn't bother me at all that the Panthers are a dumpster fire, except I do like their uniforms, and I like Panthers. But,
that's my high school mascot, actually.
Anything cat related, Hi, Jackson.
Hi, Jackson. Happy holidays to you too. All right, so my last one, then, Dom. My last pair, that is most creative. This is one person who did two things that I saw on the same day that blew my mind. Just one of these things about themselves would have been more than enough to be like, wow, that's awesome. But it was two things from the same great mind. So this is Paul Noonan, who I've mentioned a few times lately because he's on the Reporting is Eligible podcast that I've really kind of what's what I'm looking for. I'm really enjoying. I'm liking it a lot. It's a great podcast. Him and J.R. Radcliffe and Matub are on there, and sometimes Tyler Brooks on there. They might have other guests sometimes, but those are the main guys, and I've really been enjoying it. But anyhow, Paul Noonan put out two different things this week that were both amazing. So first was a look back at NFL fashion from the 80s and 90s, or from Snoopy to Zubaz. Yes. And so this was awesome because he got a bunch of like old Sears catalogs basically. I checked out all the like the old pictures. So like the pictures were in the actual article itself on Acme Packing Co. Yeah. And just they're hilarious. First of all, they're just hilarious. But it also made me think of like when I was a kid. Well, two things. One, looking through catalogs when I was a kid, because that was a thing I'd forgotten all about, just how much fun that was. Like when the catalogs come and you're excited about it, and you're like poring over it for hours and like looking through the toy section like again and again and again and again.
Are you old enough for that? I didn't know you were old enough.
Yeah. Oh, the Sears catalog, the JCPenney catalog, they both come, and I was like in my single digits, when I was excited about Transformers still. Mid 80s, I guess. And it also made me think about how looking back on this stuff would be funny for my kids, funny for me to see. But when I was a kid, I had the same experience looking back on stuff from like the 60s or 70s that my parents, it seemed like it would have been like it seemed like it would have been ancient history. When I was a kid, it's like, oh, wait a minute. That means I'm old now. And I had actually the same experience because my kids were looking at my wife's old high school yearbooks and like fascinated by like the old fashions from the 90s. And I was like, yeah, I got old somehow. I don't know. That's bananas. So anyhow, no, just seeing like these like really crazy, like this transition from sort of like an 80s sort of button down aesthetic into like this 90s, fashion in the 90s was wild, and so this is pictures of like even like kids in like it's like a denim shirt with like like those zebra striped Zubaz pants, like who would wear that together? And there's a kid in a catalog doing it, and it blew my mind. It was hilarious. So like the pictures are one thing, but like Paul's description of the stuff and his narration, he's very funny and he's very clever, and so definitely worth reading. It was very funny.
I saw that you were going to share that, and that is, because my background is fashion, and I'm like, that is on my list. So anybody who's watching or listening or watching, just remember everything we're mentioning is in our show, will be in our show notes. If they're not in there already, they'll be in there after we close out the show tonight. So you can look at all of these links. Just click on the show notes and find what we're talking about, so you can have easy access to that. I cannot wait to dig into that one because of my background. I was like, oh, that is right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
So that's the first one he did, right? And the second thing Paul Noonan did this week that was amazing was sort of like a choose your own adventure sort of thing, basically. It was I forget what you call it, an interactive online text-based adventure or whatever. It's like a choose your own adventure. And it was called Big 12's RP-WHOAA. And so it was like, it starts off where you end up meeting up with I don't think he ever says Aaron Rodgers, but it's implied, with Aaron Rodgers, and you're supposed to tell him like if he should pass the ball to like hand it off to the runner, or like throw the ball. It's an RPO situation. That's like the options obviously in an RPO, run pass option, for those who are not familiar. And it's funny because like the most logical answer you give him, he's like, no, that's not what we're going to do here. It's going to do this other thing. And then it doesn't work. And he's like, well, it didn't work for this reason, but of course we should try this thing. It was like basically like trying to understand why Aaron Rodgers makes bad decisions, but like in a very humorous way. And it goes through, it gets more and more ridiculous until eventually like you come out of the fog and Jordan Love's there, and you're like, in this situation, would you run or pass? Like, what would you do? And Jordan Love's like, oh yeah, because it's talking about like pre-snap versus post-snap looks. And Jordan Love's like, well, yeah, it's a post-snap thing, of course. That's what you have to do. That's basic football. Whereas the whole time, like Aaron Rodgers is like pre-snap. Pre-snap's good enough for me. That's all I need to do.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant because one, it's skewering Aaron Rodgers' inability to like do this effectively in a pre-snap versus post-snap look thing. Two is also like making fun of his like conspiracy theory stuff, because it's like that's interlaced throughout,
Yeah.
Three, you're learning stuff about RPOs and how like they're supposed to work. And four, it's just to send up the whole thing and use like references to all sorts of different eras of football video games, and it was fantastic. And it's kind of thing where like as a choose your own adventure kind of book, you have to go through it a few times to like see all the different branches and catch all the different parts of it.
Right.
Outstanding.
I love that. That sounds like so much fun. Yeah. So, okay. So if somebody wants to do this and they follow our link in the description notes, like how much time do they need? Like 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
To kind of get through that? If you want to just like breeze through it, you can get through it like in 5 minutes. But if you really want to like get through all the different like branches, like 20 minutes, I think you get through them all to about 20 minutes.
Okay. Hey, everyone in the comments. Hey, Emma. Hey, Lambo Labo. And Katie. I thought I saw Katie there. Katie's up in there. Jackson, we said hi to.
Hey, friends.
Oh, those are so great. I love your superlatives. You're really bringing it this week, Maddie. Well, you always do. You always do. But those sound fun.
So you have one more, right?
I have one more. This is really easy because I kind of gave it away a little bit. So, no, I didn't. I did it with a different player. Okay, so the first one was as regards Baker Mayfield best revenge game. Well, it's also worst idea, Baker Mayfield. Do not headbutt without a helmet on or whatever, period. Like, what are you thinking? I mean, don't flip, don't fly, and don't headbutt. Okay, this is Packers Glamma talking here. Like, I know because I've injured myself doing stupid things. Don't do it. Did you see that?
Yes. Like, what do you do? I get you're like pumped about it all. I mean,
was so excited, but
not for nothing, but give yourself a concussion, man.
No, that was just like, don't do that. Don't do that because, don't do that.
Don't do that.
You're gonna have kids one day or something. You're gonna want to enjoy them. Oh gosh. So that was brutal, but he was so. I mean, I gotta say, man, he was. It really felt good to see him that excited and see the team rally. I mean, what a way to come onto a team, like that. What a way. So Katie, Emma, Katie, Ben, hi! Everyone, the gang's all like, maybe we should be doing this on Saturday nights instead of Thursday nights.
Maybe, I don't know.
We're all so. Yep. So that's my 3: best revenge, worst idea, and best record.
Love it. Awesome, Dawn.
Well, Maddie, I'm so looking forward. You mentioned Matt Schlip, so he's going to be our next guest next week. Our special guest, right?
Oh boy!
I'm sorry, did I say Matt? Ryan Schlip.
Ryan Schlip.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just heard Schlip actually. I don't know if you said her first name, so we'll go with that. Ryan Schlip going to be joining us on the show next week. That's exciting.
Yep. So you won't have to just be stuck with us too. And we did it, even though we were sick and a little bit late. We didn't miss an episode yet.
I knew we could do it, Dawn. I believed in us the whole time.
I know you did. I was like, oh, well, we can just skip a week. It's okay, Matt. Nope. And I'm glad we didn't. And it's good because it's been a rough couple of weeks for me on the personal side, and it's just really nice to cap it off with a success, because then when you cancel things, when you don't do things, even if it's understandable and legitimate and all that, you still inside, I don't know if it's me, I shouldn't say you, but me inside, it's like, oh, it's somewhat of a failure. Wish I could have done that. So it feels good to be here. It feels good. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you for joining us. The Pack Daddy.
Yeah, that's right. The one, the only will be joining us. Yes. Can't wait.
And that'll be Thursday at halftime. And so who you watching this weekend with the Packers? Since we know the Packers your favorite team, who are you going to be watching this weekend?
Bengals Browns. Very excited about that game. Going to probably watch it with my my father-in-law. Gonna probably go over there and watch it with him. So really excited about that. He's very excited about, Joe Burrow. I guess I didn't know that he told me this week. Joe Burrow hasn't beaten the Browns yet, and I think this is the one.
He hasn't. He better.
Divisional rivals. It's tricky.
Right. I don't think I'll be able to see that one here. I think I'll be seeing the Chargers. Wait, I have it up here so I know what I'm talking about. The Chargers, because I won't see, I won't see the Lions. I want the Lions to win.
Yeah, they're favorites in that game. The thing is, if you want to hold on to like any hope that the Packers can make it into the playoffs, you have to root for the Vikings in that one, which sucks. I don't like that one bit.
Oh, that happens. Yeah, that's not going to happen with me. I don't care. I mean, I'm just
some things are too far.
Yeah, that's a little too far. I can't watch it anyway. I can't see that game here. So I'm trying to think of who I'm going to see. I'm going to see. Oh, no, by the way, I did not mind seeing the Raiders lose the other night, because the Raiders, if you're from Southern California, the Raiders are really not your favorite team around here, because they come in.
Yeah, remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to come into San Diego. San Diego's so cool and chill and surfboardy and all that. And they'd be like wearing their weird crap, like their black masks, and screaming at people from their trucks, and be like, what is, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I saw that. I was like, are we being invaded? Like, what is happening? So, okay, New York Jets and Buffalo Bills.
That might be a good game.
That should be fun.
They're playing each other, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it might be a good game.
Yep, and then of course Browns, Bengals. We want the Bengals all the way. Houston, Dallas. Dallas is going to win. Detroit is going to beat the Minnesota Vikings. Probably not. I mean, the Vikings have to be favored. How could Detroit be favored?
Well, it's in Detroit, so like you have the 3-point bump because of that. But even still, they're like what, 1.5 or 2-point favorites, something like that. I mean,
really?
Yeah. That's fascinating. I mean, the Vikings are kind of a fraudulent. What are they, 9-2 or something like that? Whatever their record is.
True.
They're not really that good.
Lucky. They've been lucky. Yeah,
they have been.
But they have a buzz going. They have those intangibles going. So I wouldn't say fraudulent. I mean, somewhat like, yeah, I get it. I wouldn't argue.
An argument could be made. How about that?
100%. 100%. Okay, then we've got the Eagles against the Giants. That should be a fun game, even though, obviously the Eagles are going to be likely prevail. And then there's going to be the Ravens against the Steelers. Those are always fun games. We've got, this is just still 10 a.m. my time. Okay, it hasn't even gotten to noon.
It's just the first slot.
Yeah, and then Tennessee Titans against the Jaguars. Okay, and then we have Kansas City against the Broncos. Well,
it's gonna be a buzzsaw for them.
I just really feel for Nathaniel. I mean, And then Panthers against the Seahawks. Whatever. Whatever. I don't care.
That's one root for the Panthers because it helps us if the Seahawks lose.
Okay, well, I wouldn't have a hard time with that because I do like their uniforms. I'm so shallow. And then the evening game. Oh, no, the evening game isn't yet. Okay, then the 49ers against the Buccaneers. That could be interesting.
That could be a good one. Yeah.
And then the evening game is the Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Chargers against the Miami Dolphins. That should be good. I get to see my quarterback. My favorite.
The Dolphins are like really a fun team to watch this year, so that'll be a fun game.
Okay, what saltine crackers with caramel and chocolate?
I'm not familiar. So for those listening, a comment from Emma, who is talking about a cookie that she makes, a seasonal cookie, I believe.
Okay.
Particularly Katie's referring to as poor man's toffee.
Okay.
They are so good.
Sorry, I'm just like, what is going on in the comments? I think I've had something along those lines. Something with saltine crackers that tasted, but you put caramel on anything and I'll eat it.
Yeah, me too,
I
Don.
love caramel.
My goodness.
Sounds yummy. Sounds super yummy. I think I'm going to go shopping for Jamie cheese butt stuff on Monday. If it rains here, I'm going to talk my friend in to go shopping, and I'm going to go get things for her apartment.
Nice. Perfect.
All right, Maddie. Well, let's bring her home. We're looking forward to Ryan Schlip next week. And what else? Any final thoughts before we go? And any final thoughts? Comments?
Yeah, just the bye week is just the best time to get caught up on stuff, and some good content recommendations for you this week, of course. But any like older things you hadn't gotten to, take some time to listen to that. Oh, gosh, this is super last minute, so I wouldn't even count it as a superlative, but I will just say. Just as a side note here that Erin, who I mentioned earlier, just put out a new episode of Watching Stuff, which she's been doing Marvel movies, with Dusty and Monty. But this one, she's starting to do now kind of both Marvel and also Star Wars. So she did one that just came out with her and Dan Kotnick, who I mentioned both these people earlier today. And they're talking about the first Star Wars movie. I just listened to that when I was going to go get that coffee maker I was talking about.
Yeah,
really, really a fun episode. So, it's kind of thing. This is like the week to get caught up on that kind of non-Packers content, the watching stuff, the stuff like that. So, highly recommended.
You know what? I did want to ask you something about that coffee maker.
Yeah.
Don't you shop online? Like, why do you actually go into stores this time of year?
So one of the things about me, Don, is that with people, I'm very patient, but with like getting things done or getting information, I'm super impatient. And I was like, if I could go somewhere, like drive my car to a place today to get this coffee maker, I'm going to do it. And so, doing the research to find out which one to buy and then figuring out where to buy it and going out to get it is like so satisfying for me. So, a lot of stuff I'll order online because it's just like convenient. But when I'm feeling really impatient, I just want to get the thing.
Yeah.
Driving there, getting the thing, doing the stuff.
That's interesting to contrast with me, who you couldn't pay to go into a store almost any time of year, but I don't go into stores from October through till January starts. Not at all. Not into stores where people would be shopping for like last minute things.
I get that. I mean, it was at a Target. It was a mob scene. It was in Westchester, which probably most people who are listening don't know, but that is kind of like one of those far suburbs of Cincinnati, almost halfway to Dayton, pretty much. Just like retail hell, just big box stores as far as the eye can see, just sprawl. It's horrifying. But they had the coffee maker I wanted, so that's where I had to go.
Man, because they do like same day shipping and stuff, with Amazon.
Not fast enough.
Okay, well, I get that immediate gratification need. I get it. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm just curious. I'll
say one last thing before I do bring it home here is that I thought about Katie today, who has been in the comments here, because she's the person who told me about crumble cookies. Have you ever seen these crumble cookies? You know about this cookie store, bakery, I guess we call them. There was one right by the Target there, and I thought, man, if I had the time, I'd stop in and get a cookie. But it made me think of Katie. So thought of you tonight, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
All right. So, friends, here we go, Don. Friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned, so please check it out. Also, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and to have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. Yes. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.